Everyone's kerfuffling.
Hello. Welcome here to another kerfuffle breakdown of a bit of proptech here. 3 men and a proptech baby here with my partners in crime, Mr. Richard Durant and Paul Morgan. How are you, gents?
Very good, thank you.
You're right,
Brilliant,
Rick?
thank you.
Just sat there waiting like that. He doesn't jump in there like Paul does. He sits and he gets the lay of the land before he jumps in, does Rich. Gents, we're here today to look at SmartVal. So obviously launched to great fanfare, and indeed obviously set the commentary boards on property industry eye on fire as usual, as anything does there. First and foremost, have either of you guys seen anything much in detail, or is this going to be a first time for you going through the video?
I've looked at the press release. I've read the comments, but I promise I won't take the comments into account of any any opinion I have. Well,
I think there's some. Look, let's raise some of those at the end or as we go through, actually, because I think there's a couple of things there. There's some that obviously, as ever, it is a wide spectrum, isn't it, on property industry eye. There are some valid concerns that I think can be answered from my understanding. There are some that I think are just completely wide of the mark, and there are others that obviously need answering over time. So I think draw attention to those.
I think my main point from this is, as agents, we will always believe that sat on somebody's sofa in the front room will do a far better job than a computer ever can. And I absolutely agree with that. However, we live in a now world where our expectations are we want an answer. And we can't value a property in person instantly. And therefore, people will always look for an online valuation tool. So yes, it's not ideal for every agent, and it's never going to be 100% accurate. But there is a demand for these tools, and people will use them.
And I think that's the first and most obvious one, isn't it? For these people that are talking about the dumbing down of industry, I saw a thing there is, where are you? Where are you guys? It's like, this is the reality of the situation there. If you're not engaging with that demographic who want information at the tip of their fingers in the way that they want it and desire it before being sold to, well, you're simply ruling out a large percentage of the market that want to deal that way, aren't you?
Yeah, and with our agents hat on, we all sit here and say it's about the people and all the rest of it. And I'm a big fan of, a computer will never replace a human, the dialogue, the understanding, and so on. However, I have to hold my hands up that I went out for dinner last night with my wife. We wanted to view a house, and it frustrated us at 7:30 last night. We couldn't arrange a viewing for yesterday because we had childcare to go and view a house.
Yeah.
However, you can't expect an estate agent to be open. So we live absolutely in a now world.
We do, and again, remembering you're not just competing with the other agent down the high street or indeed off the high street. You are being judged by how many other businesses operate in terms of customer service online or otherwise, isn't it? So if they're used to getting their pizza being delivered in 30 minutes or seeing the Uber on their map drawing to their door here, people will quite rightly, draw that kind of same comparison with, why does it feel like agency is caught in the dark ages if you're not careful?
You can buy a 60-grand Tesla, customize it, and have it delivered, and never even set foot in a Tesla dealership, or even in a Tesla.
Yeah.
So it's the direction of travel, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely spot on. All right, well, let me, if my technical prowess will allow, let me get the video up, and let's have a look at this. And same as before, guys. What I will do is obviously just stop me at any moment, and we'll go through that. It's only a short video, about 7 minutes, so stop at any moment. Okay, guys. So I've got the video up here. Let's just go into this. Stop me whenever you're ready, and we'll let's just watch.
Welcome to Boomin SmartVal, the most accurate online valuation tool ever created for agents and homeowners. In this video, we'll show you how SmartVal works and how you can get the most out of it. SmartVal is different to digital property valuations. It isn't an algorithm that crunches historical numbers to try and predict a price. SmartVal blends technology, data, and most importantly, the expertise of real local agents to deliver accurate online property valuations in real time. It's fast too, delivering greater accuracy in just 15 minutes. SmartVal is a powerful opportunity to establish relationships with homeowners earlier, to drive more living room valuations and win more instructions. Now let's take a look at how a customer requests a SmartVal on Boomin. The SmartVal page gives the customer a step-by-step summary of how the process works, highlighting just how easy it is to get the most accurate online valuation for their home and the benefits it offers. Customers will be directed to this page and the SmartVal process from across boomin.com. If the user wants to go ahead, they simply search for their address and then choose whether they want a sales or a lettings SmartVal. Based on their address, the next screen shows all the local agents who are currently online and available. The customer then enters property information, for example, the number of bedrooms and any key features. They then enter more detail, like the condition of the bathrooms and kitchen. They can also add up to 5 photos, but this is optional. Next, the customer selects up to 3 local agents who are online and available, with the branch locations displayed on the map. SmartVal is live and in.
Of course, Paul, yeah.
So online and available. So I'm assuming that this comes through either as an alert or a notification or some sort of ping to a lister. So does this mean that we're expecting our listers to be available at 11 o'clock at night?
No, my understanding is, and I know this caused a great furore on the chat boards as well, is that not at all. You know, you can choose availability essentially, and then it will, you know, only at those times will you appear on there. And I think there's a cutoff point, isn't there, at the moment of 10 o'clock anyway, so they don't push it beyond there expecting anyone to work at that stage. I think they've made that explicit, that they don't expect people to kind of be up and around at 2 a.m. or something like that.
Okay, that's good to know then, isn't it? Yeah, we don't want to get value for money from our staff. We don't want to burn them out.
Yeah, you don't want to, you can't be, yeah, you can't, I think they've done that very, very deliberately to make sure that obviously, yeah, that people aren't just being, you know, forced to stay up and everything else.
Sorry about the back in the background. It's the dog. I'll put myself on mute.
Okay. In terms of the usability for so far, though, it all seems nice, simple, easy to use, isn't it, Rich? There's nothing there that's stuck you.
No, I think it's really good. I really like, and I might be incorrect here, but I'm not sure any of the other instant valuations still have the ability to upload photos, which for me is key, because everybody's maps of the world is slightly different. So I might say that I've got a, you know, fantastic kitchen.
Yeah.
But that's my opinion, and my opinion will be different from your opinion and from Paul's opinion. So hopefully the public will pick up on uploading a number of photos which give the agent the most opportunity to provide an accurate valuation. And
another sort of yardstick of how serious they are. If they're going to go to that extent, you'd expect them to be pretty serious, wouldn't you?
Yeah, it would be really nice. And obviously, you know, their challenge is they've got to make it as easy as possible for the consumer, which provides agents with leads, but also provide agents with value. You know, I would like to see it at a point where the consumer has to upload photos.
Yeah,
because that demonstrates the seriousness, but it makes the agent's job a lot easier.
Absolutely. Right, I'll play a bit more then.
Yeah, that shouldn't be hard to upload photos nowadays with smartphones and iPads. Most people are browsing these property websites using their phones and iPads now, which all have a camera, so it should be pretty easy. It's not a blocker, I don't think.
No, I like the way it displays as well, just up there. So it's giving you the full information, isn't it? There at your tick. 18 local agents are online and available now, and just that nice simplistic way to select on there, of which you would expect them to have household names. So straight away, you're going to win across the vendor in terms of familiarity and everything else there.
I wonder how they choose the
Simon,
order.
do we know? I was going to say, do we know, is that randomly selected, and will they get to a stage whereby, if for argument's sake in this example, Miles and Bar were predominantly, you know, a top end agent, dependent on the price or the location, will they use learnings to present the right agents of choice for the vendors, or is it just on a rotation?
At the risk of always having to take a guess on things, I'm pretty sure I did ask one of the questions and there is criteria for which they base this on. But I think the key thing here is that's a really, really good point. Let's actually get it back verbatim from Boomin, and that's going to be a key one people would need to understand. Can they affect the way that they appear in those boxes? Is what you're talking about, isn't it?
I got a feeling this was down to your agency membership, whether you're platinum or the other 2 tiers that they have.
Okay, so that would make sense. Yeah, okay, well, let's find out from the guys there. Right, I'll play a bit more.
So agents will appear and disappear in real time as they accept SmartVals or make themselves unavailable. This is where the clock starts ticking. The chosen agents are notified by SMS and email and have 5 minutes to accept the SmartVal request. The countdown is displayed on the screen for the customer to see. The notification is sent to all the agents in your branch who are set up for SmartVal. They log in and can accept or decline the request. The 5-minute countdown is shown here too. There are 2 other important things to know at this stage. Number 1, a branch can only have 1 SmartVal in progress at any time. Number 2, the SmartVal goes to the agent in your branch who is first to accept it. The agent who accepts the SmartVal then has 15 minutes to complete it. Here's how that works. First, you'll see the information entered by the customer, including a summary of the property condition and its key features. Next, we've made sure that you have lots of data at your fingertips to support you with your SmartVal. These include recent sold prices for nearby homes based on land registry data, comparable properties in the area that are sold subject to contract, as well as similar homes that are currently on the market. Next is the demand summary. Here you can find out how many people are searching on Boomin for properties like this one. Enter the search area and price estimate, and add a percentage increase to capture searches just out of budget. As you can see, the number of searches automatically updates as you enter the information. At this point, you can add a note for the customer to provide any additional context or information about your valuation. Finally, using all of this data...
Yeah.
Simon. So for me, and lots of agents will disagree, but I'm going to be really honest, you know, in the most basic sense, without walking through the door, and yes, you can talk about, you know, applicants on the database and vendors, you know, who might pay a premium for that property, but ultimately, in the most basic sense, that price comparison, you're going to go into looking at what's been listed, what's sold, how long it's sold for, and all of this is just bringing that data to one place, isn't it? So it just makes it really, really easy. The other nice thing about that is there is a message to the vendor.
Yeah.
You know, so unlike lots of other data capture valuation tools, you are able to communicate and put a strong message. And obviously agents will gamify that slightly and their messages will get better and better and they'll put caveats around the price. But ultimately it puts you in front and gives you a very brief bit of time to demonstrate why they should be speaking to you further.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for the demand summary side of things. Am I reading too much into this as well? That, you know, you're a step ahead in terms of being able to say, look, if you're realistic with your pricing, look how much more demand you can actually get if you're going to you know, if you're going to drop your price down by a few £1,000s, it brings in a whole new whole new elements of bias to the equation, doesn't it?
I remember building functionality very similar to that agency where I used to work, and we found that if for example at the current price point you get 100 potential buyers or matched buyers, but a different, slightly lower or slightly higher price point, be 150. The problem with conveying that explaining that to the vendor is that they suddenly expect an extra 50 viewings instantly. So there is a danger in giving that information away. It's really useful for the agent, you know, in terms of knowing or a demand for a property in an area, you know, and how the price influences that. But beyond that, I'd be reluctant to tell the vendor that information. You know, like we have 150 people ready to go or anything like that.
Yeah, unless I've misunderstood that, that's people who are searching Boomin, and as such, is that not going to be the same for all agents filling in the online valuation if they're using the same tool?
Yeah.
Yes, they can change the price point slightly, but ultimately they're going to get the same number because that number is being driven by Boomin.
Yeah, I mean, for me,
Unless I've misunderstood that.
I'd love to be able to put in a reply something like, you know, I value your property at 350 grand, and here's one similar that sold last week with a link to it on Boomin. You know, put that in the message. That, you know, that bit of evidence would really reinforce what's going on. So it'd be interesting to know what you can put in that character message. Is it just text? Is it links? You know, what can you put in it?
It looked pretty freeform, wasn't it, from what I could see?
Yeah. But going back to that point, I think that's a really, really good idea.
Okay, cool.
To have the ability to message a vendor.
Let's play a bit more.
Plus your local knowledge and experience, you'll identify a minimum, a maximum, and a suggested market price. You can also add an optional price qualifier. When you're done, hit Send Valuation to Customer. We'll ask if you're sure, just in case you hit the button too soon. Confirm you're happy, and that's it. You've just sent your SmartVal. Once the customer has opened your SmartVal, their contact details will become visible in your Agent Hub, and you can easily review the details of the valuation you provided. Now let's have a look at what the customer is seeing while you're working on the valuation.
Can you just pause that one, please? It's that bit. So right at the start, when the SmartVal arrives, do you know the house number of the property? Because it says, you know, once you submit the SmartVal, you get the contact details, you get the phone number and the name. But at the point when you receive it, at the start of the demo, not the start of the demo, the start of that little bit of the demo, was the house number showing?
I can't remember having seen it. I thought it was, but...
Do you want to just quickly rewind? We're at 4 minutes and 22 seconds. Is it possible just to maybe go back? You keep going with your mouse and I'll sort of tell you when to start. It's only the bit, the agent, where the agent gets the message. So it's probably about the 3.5 minute mark. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Wait for the phone to appear.
Waiting for the phone.
There. So let's just click there, please. 3-bed on Rosway Drive. So there isn't a house number at that point. Okay, cool. Yeah. So in order to get the house number, you have to submit it. Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, cool. Where we're up to, Paul?
421. Yeah, because I'm just sort of thinking, as an agent, once you send the valuation, the next thing you do is get that house number, cross-reference your CRM. Do I know number 5 Rosway? And you do. So ring them up, give them a ring.
Right. Okay. So you mean sort of sidestep the process, essentially, though?
No, well, not quite sidestep it, because you're giving your feedback through this, haven't you? And then assuming that we're about to see the person getting the feedback. But equally, you know, the vendor getting feedback, equally, you want to ring up. So I've just sent you this valuation, just to let you know if you want something a bit more accurate. I'm more than happy to come around.
Okay, let's press play then.
As soon as an agent accepts a SmartVal request, the 15-minute countdown starts. The screen updates in real time to show when each agent accepts. If an agent doesn't accept within the 5-minute window, the customer can choose another. While you're working on your SmartVal, the customer can click on any of the agents and learn more about them, browse properties they currently have listed on Boomin, and even visit the agent's website. Your site will open in a new window so the customer can easily flick back and forth while they're waiting. In future iterations, we'll enhance this.
That's a really clever move, isn't it? So agents have always been frustrated that clients are kept on the main sites and being diverted away from the agent's own websites.
Yeah.
The fact that they are allowing consumers to click direct into the agent's websites, I think is a very clever move. That adds value to the agents, doesn't it? If your website is now your window display, it will drive traffic. And then depending on how good your website is, it's all around data capture and retargeting, remarketing.
Yeah, because you could track the people who have come from Boomin or from that particular page to the website to your own website, put them in a custom audience, and then target them on Facebook with some adverts. You know, valued your house recently, or done an online valuation recently. Why don't you ask for a real valuation? That kind of thing.
Okay.
Experience with more ways to keep the customers engaged and on site. But if the customer does leave the process completely, the SmartVal screen is easily accessible within their property hub. Once you've sent your SmartVal, the customer is instantly informed and clicks the button to open it. Here they can view and compare all their SmartVals, including the number of searches conducted for a property like theirs, any price qualifiers you added, and any uptick in value since the property was last sold. If one of their chosen agents wasn't available, the customer can choose another. They simply arrive back at the interactive agent selector screen to choose another agent. But customers can't constantly request new valuations for the same property. They can only have a maximum of 3 SmartVals for the same property in any 3-month period. Customers can view all their completed SmartVals in their property hub, where we will encourage them to book a full valuation with their chosen agents. We hope this video was helpful. If you have any questions, you can email support@boomin.com or get in touch with your account manager. We're always happy to help. Boomin, creating relationships that last a lifetime for agents.
Cool. Okay, so the first thing that just jumps out at me though is it better than what goes before? And clearly from my point of view, it delivers on that, isn't it? I can't remember whether it's Ian White who was on Property Industry Eye, who's defending the point that, literally there are millions of these valuation tools that requests going on a yearly basis. And they're famously erroneous, isn't it? But that doesn't stop the public from absolutely loving them and engaging with them on an ongoing basis. So this is just an adaptation, an evolution, if you will, of that and ultimately the public will decide on it, won't they, whether they like this kind of thing or not.
I agree. And also what I like is that throughout that process, Boomin or the SmartVal tool are pushing people to have a physical valuation.
Yeah.
So it's a lead capture form, isn't it? It's a lead capture which allows you, or is less risk of having to backtrack during the actual physical valuation, because the valuation tool gave somebody an exaggerated market valuation based on data.
And
also avoids the clumsy message that you see on a lot of websites. Where they'll say get an online val or book a physical appointment, and when you get the online val, it will say messages along the lines of, online valuations can be wild. If you want a more accurate valuation, get in touch. Which feels quite a clumsy message, and this feels more accurate.
It definitely does, doesn't it? Because look, what's the risk from that is, let's be honest, a lot of those automated tools are quite good with 2 up, 2 downs in a particular area. But where they do get it completely wrong, and it is, as you said that yourself, they're wild, Paul, but they're not really going to engage despite the message there are. You still need to be in the right ballpark, don't you, to win it, have any kind of credibility.
Yeah, no, I also think about motivation. I'm sort of thinking about myself here. If I was sort of being nosy and trying to work out how much my house is worth, and I'm Joe Blogs, I'd maybe go on Zoopla and just have a look at the wild estimate there, or the estimate there. Whereas if I want something a bit more accurate, because I'm thinking maybe either remortgaging or getting an extension or putting my house on the market, this is a better tool, a better way of doing it. So therefore, the inquiries that an agent's going to get, in my opinion, are probably going to be better than ones from just a purely online tool.
But also you're stopping the time waster who is just going to keep, what did they say it was, every 3 months is the limit to what someone can have. So that stops, dare I say it, the lunatic fringe from attempting to waste your office's time. Yeah.
Although I wonder whether the customer journey is probably going to be more along the lines of fill in the information, submit it, and then I can't imagine many people are going to sit there and wait 5 minutes to see someone respond, and then wait another 15 minutes, 20 minutes in total for an answer to come back. I know from my own browsing habits, what I'd probably do is follow that process of find out a bit more about the agent, and maybe visiting the agent's website, and then by then I've probably been captured by the Olympics and gone on BBC and looked at half a dozen other web pages and probably forget all about Boomin and come back to it half an hour later. Which is why I sort of think that phone call idea, you know, you get the lead and you reply to it, then you ring them up, probably has, you know, if you can pitch the customer service right, probably has good legs to it.
Rich, was this the area you felt was probably most contentious when we spoke kind of off previously on the subject, in terms of it's around those tweaking or seeing how the public react to the 5 minutes and the 15 minutes? Just talk to us about what your concerns were.
Yeah, my concerns would be, you know, if we take a standard estate agency office in the UK, I think ultimately they've probably got a branch manager or a business owner who's also the lister. Then they've got, you know, an assistant manager who lists at the weekends that the branch manager's not working, and then a couple of negs and an administrator. And I think that's generally how most single branch businesses will work. And what the concern is the lister's probably out all day on a Saturday, all day on a Sunday if they're open, and from 4 o'clock in the afternoon most weekdays. And as such, in order not to miss out on any leads, my concern is because of that 15-minute time frame, it then goes to one of the negs who's never valued a property in their life. And is that meaning that the customer's getting incorrect information purely so they get put in front of a vendor? Because I don't believe the lister has the ability at 5:45 on a Tuesday evening, sat on somebody's sofa, to get an alert on their phone and deal with it in that 15 minutes.
Your concern, therefore, would be you've got to be consistent all of the time, haven't you?
Yeah, if you are going to, and I genuinely believe it does, promote a valuation tool based on accuracy, that accuracy comes from a lister who's valued 200 of those properties before over the last 18 months, understands it, understands why that one may get 10 grand more than the one down the road, because they've seen it, not the negotiator who's been doing the job for 12 months, 18 months.
And the reality is that experienced lister isn't available 24/7 anyway, are they?
Yeah.
Because by definition, that's not how most agencies are made up. And Paul, you made the point as well, as you know, as well with a kind of call center, that could be again another risk in terms of not getting the full experienced feedback you think you're getting.
Yeah, but then equally, going back to your point, Rich, about a one-man band, if you're mom and pop estate agency and there's you, maybe another family member and some employee, even if you're on the sofa, you can't respond to that one there and then. You're more likely to take the ones later at night, you know, and in those kind of peak visiting periods between 7 and 9, you're more likely to pick them up. So I think it sort of swings both ways. Sometimes you're available, sometimes you're not, but they're more likely to be available in the evening, particularly late at night when you're running your own business.
But those with the customer service ethos have the ability now, don't they, to shine? Yeah,
as long as is it bad customer service if it says that you're not available?
No,
because the problem is, you haven't got the opportunity to ring them up and say, I'm really sorry I wasn't available. You know, I was out valuing a property or something like that. It just sort of says you're not available, choose somebody else. So what's the right impression that we want to give to potential vendors? That's the difficulty I have.
Can I take it back?
But I do like the tool. You know, I think it's better than what's there right now.
And that's the point. Let me take it back to food, because that's everything that I ever revolve around. We all know, and I remember pleading with Just Eat magazine to approach a certain Indian restaurant that had never ever done delivery, and I kept just saying, please, Just Eat, will you please? But you will. It will be a similar thing though, won't you? Some people will know the great agents who actually operate in their area anyway. So it's not like, for those people that have an understanding, they see the boards everywhere, they will probably have an idea in their head of one of the agents they want to talk to. And this is a way of facilitating that and getting the sensible amount that you want to have out to get this process right, isn't it?
I agree. Boomin are going to be driving traffic to it, aren't they? So ultimately, it's lead capture for Boomin, which only the agent benefits from.
I can't see why you step out of this, is it? That's the point. In terms of what you said, if it's better than it's done before, Boomin are putting all the investment into everything else there. By all means, I think there's going to be some real world sort of tweaking, because I remember in my previous life with the CRM companies, and we got all very excited because we put in play what was called our digital agent, that ability to book, you know, online or digitally from anywhere, the ability to view properties, the ability to book in market appraisals. And actually the technical side of it, although I pretended at the time it was very difficult, that wasn't the hardest bit. The hardest bit was when we went back to all of our clients and went, ta-da, here you go, guys, tell us how fantastic. And said, well, yeah, that doesn't really work for us because of the realities of diary management in a busy office. You know, it's that element that I think we're going to see over the coming months. How do people, as you almost spoke about, how do you weaponize this best, Paul? How do we use this to the best of our advantage so that we're able to stand out from the crowd, as you're always trying to do, aren't you?
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. Sorry, Paul.
No, go on, Richard.
It'll be interesting to see once we've got some trends of what the most popular times are. You know, the concern is that 6 till 10 become the most popular times because people are sat in their living rooms having conversations around moving, etc. And how frustrated and how many agents will respond within the time period, and how many agents just don't, and therefore leaves a negative consumer experience who's on the Boomin site.
Yeah, I think if it was my business, I would probably set up a triage type approach, because the alert can come into more than one person. So you could have the alert go to the lister, senior neg, and neg, and I would set up an idea where anybody can claim it, because there's that kind of accept button, isn't there? There's a claim, yeah, and they get it. So if it's the lister, you just trust the lister to do it. If lister's available, great. Senior neg, you would expect a senior neg to be kind of pushing towards wanting to be a lister, understand house prices, have a good idea, and probably have the confidence that they would reply with something realistic, so that's fine. But if it's a neg or a junior neg or anything like that, that's the bit you don't quite trust. So for me, I would have them reply, but not click send. And sometime in that 15-minute window, where possible, try and get the attention of the lister if they're in, or the senior neg, and ask them to just quickly glance at it, triage it, and when it's okay, send it off. And then that way, you could probably reply to nearly all of them.
The other point we're missing is it comes down to that comments, doesn't it? If I am a senior neg, so I know roughly, you know, everybody in that branch with over 12 months experience will have a rough idea. If they put their rough idea down there, and in that comment section, it says, I've worked in the property industry a long time, I don't actually list properties, or your area, where your property is, isn't my area of speciality. However, my colleague, Paul, who knows your area intimately and has been selling properties in your road for the last 20 years, he'll be able to confirm this valuation. Is there a telephone number we can contact you on, or contact him on so-and-so? You're meeting the criteria, you're sending it across within 15 minutes, but you're also suggesting that, you know, you might be a little bit out, but you have somebody in your business who knows their area intimately and is a local specialist. And I think that probably overcomes the challenge. I think we're probably looking for flaws slightly.
That's good customer service as well. I like that approach, particularly if then it's followed up with a phone call from Paul saying, hey, Richard sent you this valuation. I've just had a glance at it. It's a little bit out compared to what I would say. So how about I come round and have an atta? Something like that. Yeah. It's great. It's a reason to call, isn't it? All of it's about finding reasons to call. Yeah.
And we spend a lifetime, don't we, looking, I mean, in our train spotter world here at Kerfuffle Towers, looking at so many different products that, you know, offer up, you know, new ways of here's getting more interest, more leads. And as we know, especially in the market at the moment, you know, they're not short of leads, but what are those leads? Are they Glengarry, Glen Ross really hot leads, or are they ones that just threaten to swamp your team in terms of there? It strikes me as is if they get this bit right, these should veer into that former one, shouldn't they? Where they're quite hot leads and should be prioritized accordingly.
I think so. These are potential vendors at the early stages of the decision of to choose which agent to list with, and they're probably at the point before they've done any research on agents to ask the mates about which ones would you choose. So they're just working entirely off brand awareness, in my opinion. And it's all then how many boards have they seen, and it's great because it should, in theory, just mean as long as you're doing good brand awareness marketing, you're going to get the leads through this.
But this is also free brand awareness marketing, isn't it? Because these people are going to Boomin and you're getting your brand position. What would you pay to do a Facebook targeted campaign where somebody actually took note of your brand? Now, providing you're in that rotation for that particular vendor, what damage can it do? It's bringing you leads who are probably hot leads. You're getting some brand awareness and you're getting an opportunity to showcase your experience.
Yeah. And it does feel to me a bit stingy at the moment, considering, of course, famously, it is free of charge to go on. I mean, I know it's going to be chargeable on stage, but this is the point about it, is it rather than us all sitting back and chin scratching and everything else, why would you not give it a go? And at least, I know most of these other valuation tools are only, a few quid and everything else, but it's about the brand damage. It's about the customer service. We know how much awareness Boomin are going to be creating with their TV advertising and everything else that they're doing there. Why would you miss out on this element in terms of, of driving that extra business to your door at a time when you're desperate for valuations and instructions?
And it's data, and the clever agents will, even if you're not getting the vendor's name and number and you're not getting the house number, leaflets will be going out. And I know that sounds old fashioned. If you get that valuation request in for Acacia Avenue today, guess what? There's some leaflets going out in Acacia Avenue tomorrow. Any properties you've recently sold in Acacia Avenue who don't have a sold board because they didn't want a for sale board at the time will be offered some sort of incentive around a little bit of reduction in a fee to get a board up for a couple of weeks. And all of a sudden, yesterday, nobody on Acacia Avenue knew who you were. Today, you've got 2 boards up and leaflets going out. If that doesn't help get you through that vendor's door, it's just a tool, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So our advice is it's going to be interesting to see how people tweak this in a real world environment, everything else, coping with that sort of stuff, and how Boomin are going to support it. But ultimately now, if it's better than everything that's gone before, what are you moaning about?
Think about your customer journey.
Think about again, it's not about us all the time, is it? Well, it's so often the case. Is think about what the public wanting, and then ultimately they will vote. I actually haven't seen how many stats there are about how many of these have been done, but have you guys? It'd be interesting to see what those that will be the ultimate driver of success, won't it, over the coming weeks and months if these obviously skyrocket.
Is it live yet?
Yeah.
I think so. I think yes. I think the press release was the other day that it was live, so we'll get that feedback from people.
Because I registered on Boomin today just to try it out. I couldn't find it.
You can get on. Okay. Well,
no, I could get on Boomin. I just couldn't find the.
Couldn't find where that's in.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll have to have a look at that and find out. Okay, guys. Thank you very much for your feedback as ever. Very useful. Useful it was. Thanks a lot. Cheers, guys.
Thanks.
Bye.
Good. Bye.
Everyone's kerfuffling.